Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to this video you're about to watch. This is a condensed version of the live stream that we did to reveal the new features coming to the Spriters Resource, the Models Resource, and the Sounds Resource. During this live stream, we showed off a number of features and rambled quite a bit, so I've tried to cut out a lot of the fluff as much as I can. So this is a condensed version of those reveals. Hope that you enjoy. We had a lot of fun doing this stream, and I hope that in the future, maybe you'll join us on Twitch, and follow us on Blue Sky, or just subscribe on this YouTube channel. I'm sure that we'll do more providing content here in the future. But without further ado, please enjoy the following presentation. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our reveal of the new Spriters Resource. I hope that you are all excited. So we are going to be running through a number of changes coming to the Spriters Resource. For those who don't know what the Spriters Resource is, it is an archive of video game sprites. We like to preserve graphics from retro and modern video games, whether it is the big names that you all can expect, or the small independent games that many of you may have missed. A lot of people have used the website to learn a lot about video game art, and we're here to show you the next phase of our website, and I am so excited to get it out there. I wanted to go over some of the basics about where we come from, who we are, because a lot of you will have never heard from us before. My name is Daz. I've been with the website for 20 years, maybe longer. I've lost track at this point, but I've been running it for about 20 years, and I am also one of the voices for Did You Know Gaming, one of the writers for Did You Know Gaming, and I have been doing both simultaneously, and in more recent times, putting a little bit more time in with the Spriters Resource because I've recognized just how important it truly is, and I've had so many people come to me in more recent times and told me just how impactful it's been on their lives, and I felt that was an important thing for us to push forwards. PT joined with the team 2010. So yeah, 15 years ago. So again, that's also a remarkably long history, right? We've always had a super supportive community of people, staff who they cannot be forgotten. The users of the website are the main, bad boys. Let's say they have really made us who we are. So we can't start without saying thank you to literally everyone here and everyone who has ever contributed to the site. We would be nothing if not for all of them.
100%. Every time we say something like this, we always think about how cheesy it comes off, and a lot of times it's said disingenuously, but we do really mean it because it's okay. Yeah, fine, we made the site, we maintain the site, but the site is useless without content.
Absolutely.
So the people who contribute to the site are just as, if not more important. And then the staff, who I don't know how many of you realize this, but volunteer their time.
Absolutely. And there's about
massive amounts of it.
There's like, I'm trying to think of exactly how many there are. I would say probably like, let's say 8, 9, 7 or 8.
I think it's closer to 10.
Is it close to 10? Okay, yeah. But yes, they are all incredible people. They also, again, all the love in the world goes to them. I think we should start our stream with a little bit of a rundown of the history of the website. This is going to be a little bit gross to look at, so I do apologize for that. This is what the Spriters Resource looked like when it first turned up. Granted, the images worked. So, as you can see, it was pretty basic, man. Those were the basic days. We didn't even have things organized by console. They were organized by franchise and a specific person. And then we moved on into the era of what we now consider to be the Spriters Resource as we know it. Even then, still organized by company rather than by console. But this was the original era of these icons coming into form. This was a rough period of time when it came to managing, maintaining, and dealing with things, because all of these images were hard to deal with. It required a lot. This was back when the website was operated by Bacon, And Bacon is now better known under his true name, Mark Brown, who runs Game Maker's Toolkit. He operated the site from its inception up to about a year and a half in. I think he decided to pack it in, and he actually handed the website over to Shane, who you will all know from Did You Know Gaming, and which is where we knew each other from, and that's why I'm also part of Did You Know Gaming. And Shane operated it for about 6 months, and then he was like, I can't deal with this, and then handed it over to me. And I was 13 years old at the time, but it was everything I ever wanted to operate. I was running Sprite websites since I was about 9 years old. So that leads us to the SpritersResource.com. This was the design back in 2010. This was a pretty important era of the website. Yeah, the old shiny sidebar and the very empty space that was going on. This whole sidebar here that really didn't have much going on. But then we come to the modern age, and this is what we have been on for a good 12 years, I would say. I would like to just make a point before we do show the site that, it's a bit of an emotional one, but about a year ago, my mother passed away, and essentially it was a pretty important moment for me in terms of moving forward and wanting to push the site forward. I began to acknowledge that no one else is able to, right? It's me and Pete, and if we don't do it, no one can. And we have been entrusted with this position, and it's very important for us to acknowledge not only the privilege that comes with that, but the responsibility. And essentially, over the course of the last year, there's been a lot of revelations, on a personal level, but also I've had a lot of people reach out and tell me kind of how important the website is. And so I felt it's time. It's time for us to do all of the things that we ever actually wanted to do, and to do it proper. Which is why we're now making the website anew. So, shall we show the new website? Are you ready, folks? Here we are. This is our new design. Now, it may not seem all too foreign to you. It's going back a step, but also moving forwards. We wanted to make sure that we paid tribute to the fact that it's a retro site. We don't want to change it into some crazy thing. We wanted to make sure that we kept that retro aesthetic and that we were paying homage to a previous layout with our 3-column system. With that, we now have latest assets always on show on every page on the right hand side. Latest comments also now show up on side, and you can actually see what you're hovering over on the buttons. Kind of an important deal.
So we mentioned the icon renovation, and I did say that they are mostly CSS before. The new ones, thanks to some craziness that Daz played with, are 100% CSS. So you still have to submit the image itself for the icon, but the header, the text, and even that patterned background that you can see there are all done in CSS, and that means that we can change them far more easily. Like, for instance, from light to dark.
Like this. So this is a new feature. We now have a built-in dark mode, which everyone has been jankily jamming into the site. This was the first thing that I did because my eyes are getting old, guys, and I can't deal with bright colors anymore.
And I guess while we're here and talking about the theme, it's a good time to just mention, for those of you who are not a fan of the more matte look of the new site, which is fine, you're entitled to that opinion, I did throw in a little homage to those of you who would like to keep a bit more of the visual appeal of the old site with the classic theme that I believe Daz is about to show you.
That's right. Now, this is, personally, not my favorite, but I understand. Some people can't let go of certain things and love salmon. So we have kept the salmon colors. This was Pete just having fun, and he decided to keep it in.
It was mostly a test of my new skin system to see if I could easily add one.
The website doesn't have all of the content on it at the moment, as you can see. This is because it is still in development. So we have to just acknowledge that not all of the content is on the Spriters resource. However, the models resource has a significant amount of content, so we will be going through some things over there. Let's take a quick look at the new asset page. So one of the biggest changes is that we took the details away from the top and we've put them down at the bottom, and we'll see a number of other new features on this page as well. One of the biggest ones you're probably seeing is my icon changes when I hover over this sheet. And that's because we now have the ability to actually zoom in and examine the sprite sheet with full control. Which is something that I feel like we really should have done a long time ago, but it is a very, very complicated thing to do.
Yeah, this is something that we've been working on almost since day one, especially for those of you who are at our little preview. As we were cryptically talking about that thing that we recently finished. We're going to get there in a second, but it's related. But yeah, there was a lot that went into this that just wasn't easy. You can see right now that Daz is navigating this and zooming in and out with his mouse. That was hard to figure out. There was a lot of math, but it does zoom correctly to your mouse cursor if you zoom with the scroll wheel. There are also plus and minus buttons at the bottom, which zoom to the center of the image as displayed. If you're on a desktop, though, and have a mouse, definitely just use the mouse wheel.
Absolutely. You can also rotate it, just in case that's something you want to do.
And for those of you doing any kind of analysis of the image, trying to recreate it, learn about how shading and pixel art works, or for the perler beaters out there, this is the cryptic thing we've been referring to pretty frequently recently, and it is a pixel grid.
So one of the biggest things that I acknowledged over time is the uses of this website. Perler beads have become immensely popular, cross-stitch, blanket weaving, all of this stuff. I felt that this was a pretty important feature for us to get right. We thought we had it, we didn't. We thought we had it, we didn't, and then we did it again, and we nailed it. So
this is like, I don't know, version 5 or 6 of the pixel grid. I've redone it more times than I want to think about.
There's another button in the top right here as well. So this is fantastic for people on larger displays. It enables you to take up the full width of your browser. So if you're on an ultra-wide monitor or a 4K screen, it allows you to utilize the entire space of your screen. So when it comes to then zooming, obviously you have more real estate to deal with. So you can better see what's going on. We also have this browse button. Now this is a whole new way of navigating the website. You can now look at everything. So now instead of, there's not much on this website, so this page doesn't really show you very much, but you can just check out all of the games we have on the site, check out all of the assets we have on the site, and also jump between games, websites. We also have our zips. This is what I really want to show.
Oh yeah, zip handling is the big one. We're using Peppino for this?
Yeah, we'll use Peppino. I think Peppino's a good example. Although it is fake Peppino, we called him Peppino because that's just what we do. So we can now extract and view the contents of a zip, which enables us to not have to just download it, extract it, open it, blah, blah, blah. You can now just look at it in the page. And on top of that, because we now have our new zoom feature, let me just find a good example here. I'll find the idle. We can zoom in. We can enable our pixel grid. And we can also flick through the different frames.
And this is another one that has additional controls, but there will be on-screen buttons for everything that we're talking about. Zoom, rotate, navigate like this. But we have bound left and right arrow to the previous and next frame buttons. So you can navigate through a zip file just using your keyboard as well. And when you do that, it respects the zoom, position, rotation, everything of the image that's currently displayed for the next one.
This is such a great upgrade. It is a huge change for users who are on mobile, for example, because we can see that it also functions on mobile. We can still hit these buttons at the bottom and have a little look around. And this is actually a really nice way of actually navigating the website. It allows us to actually look at the sprites on a phone without them being hyper blurry.
Yes, so mobile layout is something that we have been focused on from the get-go. If the current site does have a mobile theme, it was difficult to get right. I kind of had to like ham-fist everything in. And it's functional, it works, but it's not great. This new site has been designed with mobile, and also, if you extend your responsive view a little bit, with tablets in mind as well. There is a medium layout, we'll call it, that will automatically adjust to those of you doing something like an iPad in landscape.
So as you can see, it kind of just works out based on your width, how the best way you can navigate the page. The icons shrink for mobile, so you can fit more on your phone screen. So typical phones have a 3 width layout here, which is just a lot easier to get through properly.
I did catch out of the corner of my eye somebody mentioning, please say that this zip functionality exists on the Sounds resource. So maybe we break from our script a little bit here and
okay,
and move on over to Sounds instead.
So for the Sounds resource, again, we still have the dark theme. We've changed the colors a little bit to be a little bit more, easy on the eyes. We've added icons to the Sounds resource, which are based on the game in which they come from.
Oh yeah, so this was cool. This was actually something we did somewhat recently. Originally, we just had a textured background behind the sound icon, and that still exists if an icon doesn't exist yet. But to make things a little bit more fun to browse in icon mode on Sounds, which you'll know does not exist right now at all, it will take the game icon and colorize it.
Just to jump in, to make the point clear.
Do the Simpsons voices.
We now have the ability to play the sounds from the zips.
So you can now browse through a zip file, play back individual sounds. You can also now download individual sounds without having to download the entire zip file.
Which is massive. This is something that we are super proud of, and I think is going to completely change how this website is used. I mean, the number of people who I think refrain from using it because of the necessity of downloading a zip, unzipping that, opening it in an audio application that always cuts off the end.
And now, of course, you can still download the entire zip if you want, but I wager most of you probably will just want the 1 or 2 files that you were looking for. This does make it a little bit more important, as you can see. Go to like one of the Wind Waker sounds.
So this is something we need to generally improve.
Yeah, so we used The Simpsons as an example because whoever did that original submission did a really, really good job organizing it. This will still function completely on an unorganized submission, but it's going to be a bit harder to find.
And again, we're also always open to feedback and seeing what you guys think, because this is a whole new concept for us. You know what I mean? So we've gone ahead with what we believe is the best way of laying things out and putting things together. But if anyone ever comes up with, new ideas, please do let us know. We have a feedback channel on the Discord, so we're very open for that feedback. Oh, we also do have a random button, by the way. That's also something. I think this is a good place to then show a game page. So we have a top game page here. This can reveal a number of new features. So with this, we have tags. On the current site, we have consoles and we have genres attached to a game. So now, all of the games across all of the sites are the same game, which means that because I'm on the Mario 64 page, and we have sprites, and we have models, and we have textures, we can flick between the sites from a game, which is a very big feature that a lot of people have been waiting for. So that means that I can go, oh, let's take a look at the sprites, let's take a look at the sounds. We can also go, let's take a look at all of the games made by Nintendo that we have. Let's take a look at all of the genre of adventure. Let's look at all of the platformers, third-person games, or Super Mario games. If we go back to the Browse page, you can see that we can look for Nintendo 64 games with Bart Simpson on the Nintendo 64. There are none, but the point is that you can do this.
But you can. Now, obviously, our tags are woefully incomplete right now because what's up here is just the data that we've been testing with. Most of it's even wrong. I'm pretty sure there's a few Castlevania characters labeled as Mega Man.
Yes.
And I think Bart Simpson appears in Wind Waker currently.
Yes. That's just our testing. So again, when the final site launches, none of these just like random choices will be there. So from this page, I think we go over to models, so we can have a look at the models page for Super Mario 64. Now, there is one thing to mention is alternative names. So if you search for Shen Yu Mario SM64, these Japanese characters or Chinese characters, they will appear. So it means that people of another language will be able to more easily find the content they're looking for.
So yeah, or for people who are looking for you can search for COD and find Call of Duty.
Right.
So whoever had mentioned something like Spyro 3 not actually being the title before, this is how you'll find it now. And
So,
actually,
yes.
to that end, well, I guess we'll do a quick search before we come back to Mario.
For
Search has been-
SM64. There we go.
Search has been dramatically improved. It now does not require double quotes for quoted phrases. It will actually just take what you typed verbatim. So yes, if you search Mario 64 on the new site without the quotes, you'll actually get Mario 64. You need to quote it on the current site. It also handles common plurals natively. So for instance, if you type the word Simpson on the current site looking for games, you're not going to find them. If you type it on the new site, it will automatically append that S and also search for Simpsons. And combine that new search functionality with the ability to easily filter by console or various tags. And you should start seeing it, especially once the tags actually get applied. You're going to start seeing a much easier way to find the content that you're looking for, is what I've been trying to say. But I think this is probably a good time to now start talking about our newest models resource features.
Indeed. And I'm pretty sure you guys all know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about it already.
You guys
anyway.
know what we're about to show you. And I hope that you can already tell, based on this icon that now appears on models. And I think Mario's head is a great place to begin.
It is the perfect example, yes.
We now have a model viewer. It's the number one thing that hinders people when they're trying to use this website is they do not know how to use 3D models. And that's a completely understandable thing, but there are loads of people who would benefit from being able to examine them. And so the model viewer really does open up a whole load of possibilities. The other thing that we have with the model viewer, I just want to go through these buttons real quick. We have an automatic rotation. So if you do just want to, move it around, spin it around, you can just do that and you can examine it. You can also take a look at the wireframe if that's of any interest to you. I feel like for some people it certainly would be. This would show you exactly how it was kind of constructed. We can also change the background to green.
So this is not natively reading the model that is in the submission you'd actually download. This is going to be an optional extra file that needs to be uploaded. This is not going to work everywhere from day one, although Daz is crazy and has done like 70,000 of them or 40,000 of them or something like that.
I think
So
I
there will
have done 50% of the content has already got a preview model attached because I am nuts.
It's not extracting the zip and using the model that's in there. It is using a separate GLB file.
Yeah. Which is because some zips have multiple models in them, and that you can't simply just grab one and pray.
Yeah.
One other feature, which is actually really well exemplified here, is the texture filtering. So we have texture filtering that just basically makes it look like the N64, right? How it blurs the textures, but now it looks like a PlayStation 1.
So that texture filtering is enabled or disabled by default on a per console basis, but can be toggled at any time.
I think another point to just quickly demonstrate, though, is, of course, that if you're on your phone, it still works.
Yes. full touch controls. Somebody also asked about if the green color is selectable. It is not currently. We did go with full saturation green, so it shouldn't be present in too many instances, but yeah, we acknowledge that there may be conflicts with certain things.
Yes, that's just sort of how it be. There are some ways in which we might be able to consider getting around that, though. And this is a favorite button. So you can now save particular assets, particular games to your favorites, and then you'll be able to quickly go back to them.
Under your user menu, once you've favorited at least one thing, you'll have options to browse your specific favorited items.
We also can disable our icons, and you can then still see details like if it has a 3D model preview.
The text mode view has been dramatically improved.
Indeed.
Any fun features for Textures Resource? The exact same new additions to Spriters Resource are also available on Textures Resource. We will be moving to subdomains. So Spriters Resource is still going to be www.spritersresource.com. The rest of the sites are going to be models, textures, and sounds.spritersresource.com with their individual domains redirecting properly to the new locations. And this lets us do a single login system across the board with cookies that follow you across the board and a login that follows you across the board. And I mentioned cookies. Some of you may be skeptical about that. When I say cookies, in our case, I mean specifically for things like your choice of icon or text mode, or not safe for work, or your theme. Though if you are logged in, that doesn't use cookies. It actually just uses your user profile. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you do something like hide not safe for work content on models resource, it's automatically hidden on Spriters, textures, and sounds as well.
One of the big reasons why I thought that this was quite an important feature is because of cosplay, actually. I have personally no interest in cosplay, but I respect it. And when it comes to creating a cosplay outfit, it's very difficult to kind of actually find out exactly what that outfit is from every angle, unless you're, playing through the game, pausing, going into camera mode, whatever. This kind of gives people the flexibility to just look at it while they're creating their clothing and whatnot. The other point is that we have comments. Comments have changed. That's another thing. I left a comment here to give an example. It highlights it because I clicked it on the side. We have responses, so you can now reply to messages and comments, which allows us to kind of have a more structured form of communication on the site itself.
Yes, and those replies we can't show it because we're not logged in currently, but those replies will actually give you an on-site notification when you receive one.
So when you go to the browse page by default, I'll show it on models, in fact, we are organized by popularity.
Yes.
You don't have to organize by popularity. You can also organize alphabetically, by hits, or by date, which means that from the browse page, you can now see things that are new up to as far back as you would like. Rather than just seeing the latest 10 submissions, you can now see as many submissions as you'd like, as far back as you want.
Let's see. While Jazz is showing that, I'm just going to mention a couple things. We've obviously shown a lot of new ways to browse the site, but the existing functionality of the console-based navigation is staying exactly where it is, as you can see on the left. For those that utilized the genre navigation before, I don't know how many of you there actually are, that is being replaced with tags, which will be accessible via the browse page. The right sidebar, which if you were here during our history lesson, used to exist and that we later removed, is making a return. And that's where you're going to see latest assets and comments and popular assets and games, I believe.
But hey, yeah, we'll explore some. We've already come up with some ideas of things that we're going to do. So really appreciate you guys coming along, giving your feedback. Really appreciate all the kind words, all the subs, all the follows, all the love, man.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way to fully express it, but it's been incredible.
Honestly, yeah, me and Pete, we've been working on this now for like just over a year. It's been a lot of hard times, a lot of turmoil, a lot of good times too, though. It's actually been really nice getting kind of back into the development cycle. of something I feel like a lot of passion for. So yeah, I honestly...
It's also just been nice keeping in touch better. Not that we ever completely lost touch, but when we didn't have development work to do, we didn't talk nearly as frequently.
Yeah, 100% true. 100% true. I hope that you enjoyed that little presentation. I apologize if things seemed a little bit slapdash, but during a live stream, of course, it's a little bit chaotic. We had hundreds, if not thousands of people join us across the few hours that we were live. So if there is anything that you want to contribute in terms of feedback, any commentary, anything at all, do leave a comment. You can join us on our Discord server, discord.gg/TSR. Send us a message on Blue Sky. We're very receptive to your feedback, and we'd love to hear from you. We're hoping this will go out in the next few months, but don't hold us to that. We'll do our best. Thank you so much for the privilege of being able to show you everything that we've been working on. We are so excited to get this out there, and I hope that you enjoyed. Until next time, farewell.